So in your notebook, with these problems written down, and knowing that this actually comes from, this objective is 21.1. Notice it's not 21.1a or 21.1b or anything like that. It's just 21.1. There's only one section in that, or one quiz in that one section. Okay. You'll see that there's 3 different problems here. You'll also see that when you take this quiz, or if you haven't taken it already, that there's 8 different questions. So that's why I'm going through 3 different problems, and I want to go through just kind of a range of the different types of problems that you're going to see in those 8 questions. Factoring the expression. Start with that one. Notice the directions. It says factor. In the past, in Module 18, we did things called multiplying. Factoring is kind of the opposite of multiplying. And in this case, we are going to be using the box method, or the box, but in a different way. We're going to kind of be working backwards here. This is how it's done. All right, so I want you to, for the first problem, I want you to make a box. And this is what you're going to do. That first term in that polynomial expression, this x squared, that's right here, gets put right there. Top left-hand corner. This will always be the case. You'll put it inside, because this is like our answer, and we're working backwards to our original 2 expressions. So x squared goes right here, and then this 24, the last number, gets put on the bottom right. Okay, so no matter what, this is the way that we kind of set it up to start with. Then this is what we do. We're going to multiply the x squared and the 24 here. X squared times 24 equals 24 x squared. Nothing complicated about that. We're just kind of putting them together, right? X squared times 24 is 24x squared. I want you to write down a little blank, a multiplication symbol, another blank, put down equals, and then the 24x squared. Then I want you to put another 2 blanks separated by an addition sign, put the equal sign, and I want you to put 10x. The 24x squared comes from multiplying the first term and the last term. Right? That's where this comes from. The 10x comes from the middle. Good so far? What we're going to do is we're going to try to come up with 2 numbers that will multiply to 24x squared, that will add to 10x. 2 numbers that will multiply to 24x squared. Now, it helps to start with that one. Not to start with what 2 numbers will add to 10x, but think of numbers that multiply to 24x squared. Let's start with one. Let's start with this one. 2 times 12. Okay, let's see if this works. 2 times 12, and actually 2x times 12x, right? 2x times 12x will give me 24x squared. But does 2x plus 12x give me 10x? No. It'll give me 12x. So then I have to start with a different one. Someone said a negative. Let's see. Negative 2x times 12x. How about that? Unfortunately, that would give me a negative 24x squared. You say both of them negative. Okay, let's try that one. Negative 12x, negative 2x times 12x, negative. You said those multiply to 24x squared. I agree, but does negative 2x plus a negative 12x give me positive 10x? Yes. Now that gives me negative 14. 8. Right. Okay, so this one does not work. Any other numbers you think that might do this for us? Yes? 6 and 4. Let's try it. Let's check and see if this works. 6x and 4x. Okay, so yes, they do multiply to 24x squared. Now let's check. Does 6x plus 4x equal 10x? It does. Okay, so this is what we do. We put the 6x and the 4x that we just found in either one of these. It doesn't matter which one we choose. I'm going to put down 6x here and 4x here. Now you may remember something back in middle school called the GCF, the greatest common factor. Yeah, you remember this, okay? You are going to, right now, take the greatest common factor of this first row. What is the biggest amount I could divide by in this first row? I can't divide a 3 into 1.
1.
Okay, 1. 1 what though?
1x.
I can divide by an x. In both cases, there is an x. So I can divide by an x. I'm going to put the x then on the outside. Okay, what about the greatest common factor of the bottom row? What's the biggest amount I could divide by?
4.
I could divide by 2, you're right, but that's not the biggest. I could divide by 4. I can divide by 4. Okay, let's double check. 4 divided by 4? Yep. 24 divided by 4? Yep. So 4 is the biggest amount I can divide the bottom row by. The bottom row. Now we can actually start filling this out a little bit, knowing what we know about multiplication. X times what would give me x squared?
X times x.
So x times x. I can just put the x and the x right there. X times what would give me 6x? So then I can put the 6 right there. Hey, I have my box filled out working backwards here. So knowing that this is a positive right here, and this is a positive right here, then I'm simply going to put down x plus 6 times x plus 4. That's the way that I work this out. And you could FOIL, or you could even do the multiplication. We kind of have it already done for us right here to double check that we have the right answer. And it works. I'm going to work through the next one a little bit quicker. We have our box. Top left, our x squared. Bottom right, negative 8x. Oh, sorry, thank you. Negative 8 is what I meant to put down. Thank you, thank you. Negative 8. Okay, now what we want to do is multiply the x squared and the negative 8. So blank times blank equals negative 8x squared. And blank plus blank equals... No, what is it? What two things we want it to add to? 7x. Good. Let's see if we can come up with two numbers that will multiply to negative 8x squared that will add to 7x. You say 2 and 4? I don't think. It's got to multiply to negative 8x squared too. They both are going to have an x. You agree? They both are going to have an x. 1 and 8? Okay, well, 1 times 8 would be positive. You're on the right track. Negative 1x and positive 8x.
Yeah.
Right? Negative 1, let's check it. Negative 1x, positive 8x. They'll multiply to negative 8x squared. Yep. And they'll also add to positive 7x. It worked. Negative 1x, positive 8x. Now, again, it doesn't matter where we put this. I'll put my negative 1x here, and my positive 8x there. A lot of times when you have an x squared in the top left-hand corner, this doesn't work all the time though. If there's an x squared top left-hand corner, then it's always going to be x times x. It is always going to be if it's the top left-hand corner of it, x squared. Again, you might not always have an x squared at the top left-hand corner. This helps us out a ton. X times what would give me negative 1x? Negative 1.
Oh, yeah.
Right? X times what would give me 8x? 8. So now we have it. X minus 1, x plus 8. It does not matter if you put the x plus 8 first. You could put it first, and then the x minus 1. Either way. It wouldn't mark it wrong in my.hrw. It shouldn't. Yes, question.
Wait, what's the point of even, is doing like the outside part of the square, is that checking your answers?
The outside part is what gives you this answer, the x minus 1 and then the x plus 8.
Well, wouldn't you be able to tell if you didn't do the outside?
So yeah, the question is, couldn't I just look at the negative 1 and the 8 and just say x minus 1, x plus 8? Right now, what I'm showing you is kind of a general way of doing it that'll work for all problems. What you are saying is that it'll work for this one, and you're right, but it won't always work for what you're thinking. So that's why we have this general way of doing it. Let's look at the next one, different directions. You see it? What does it say? Not factor, but solve. It says solve. So for this problem right here, we need to do something a little bit different. The first thing that we're going to do, get equals 0. Okay? Get equals 0. Make it so that it's equal to 0. I'm going to move this negative 56x to the other side of the equal sign. You generally want to make it so that it is still a positive x squared, but move everything else to the other side. So in this case, if I move negative 56 to the opposite side, it's going to be the opposite, add 56. Now I have equals 0. It's said to solve, so what this does is it makes it a little bit longer. It takes a little bit longer to do this one. Not that much longer, though. We still use the box. X squared, top left. 56, bottom right. Some of you are going to get really quick at this. Okay, I want two numbers. Two numbers that will multiply to the multiplication of x squared and 56. That's 56x squared. And that will add to negative 18x. This one might take a little while to think through. Two numbers that will multiply to 56x squared. 6 doesn't go into 56.
7.
7 and what?
7 and 8.
7 and 8 does, but it won't add to negative 18.
Negative.
You want to make them both negative? Because a negative times a negative would give me 56x squared, but unfortunately, negative 7 plus negative 8 still won't give me negative 18. You're going to have to try different numbers. I'm going to give you this one. You're going to use your calculator quite a bit. This one is negative 4x
I was good.
and negative 14x.
I knew it.
Negative 4x times negative 14x equals 56x squared. Like I said, a calculator will be very helpful. Negative 4x plus a negative 14x does give me negative 18x. It's going to be a lot of trial and error. Try this, see if it works. It doesn't. Try this, see if it works. It does. So we put the negative 14x here. I just chose it there. You could have put negative 4x there if you wanted. It doesn't matter. And the negative 4x right there. Again, top left-hand corner, we have x squared, so it'll be pretty easy to fill this out. X times x is x squared. X times what is negative 14x? Negative 14. X times what is negative 4x? Negative 4. So right now, we're going to be factoring this. It's going to get us one step closer to solving. I know then x minus 4 times x minus 14 equals 0. It's another way of writing what I have there, but with the x, or with it equal to 0. There's something called the zero product property. It tells me if I have two things that multiply to equal to 0, then to find the solution, set x minus 4 equal to 0, and then x minus 14 equal to 0. Basically, I just set that equal to 0 and that equal to 0. And then solve. To solve this, we need to get x all by itself. So we're going to add 4. X equals 4. Solve this one. Add 14. Get x equal to positive 14. Common mistake is to think that when you factored it and you got negative 4 and negative 14, that those are your answers. They're not. Oftentimes, with these problems, they're exact opposites. So what do you put in your do now sheet? I want 3 different answers. Okay. I want you to put down x plus 6 times x plus 4 in parentheses. So this one, I want you to put down x minus 1 times x plus 8. And then these two answers, x equals 4 and x equals 14. You're going to have to write a little smaller. The third one, put down both of them. X equals 4 and also that x equals 14. So again, write small, but you should be able to get it all in there. Today, objective 21.1 becomes a 0. That's what this deals with. Use a calculator.